On August 12, 1985, a Boeing 747 climbed to 24,000 feet. Then the pilots lost all control. The aircraft didn't fall apart in some dramatic explosion. It was far quieter than that. Hydraulics failed, all four of them. The plane became a 178-ton glider with no way to steer, no way to slow down, and no way to land. Pilots did things with that dead weight that shouldn't have been possible, but in the end, physics won. 520 people died. It remains the deadliest single aircraft accident in history. Now let's rewind. 7 years earlier, in 1978, this same aircraft, a Boeing 747 SR registered JA 8119, had a rough landing at Osaka. The rear pressure bulkhead cracked. You know, this aluminum wall that separates the cabin from the tail section. It's load-bearing, critical. Boeing sent a repair crew. The repair itself was straightforward enough on paper. They removed the cracked section and installed a new bulkhead. But here's where the small irony sits, right here in the maintenance logs. The repair was done in 2 stages with a temporary fix in between. That temporary patch, it held for 7 years. By 1985, that section of fuselage had pressurized and depressurized 11,400 times. Each cycle stresses metal, each cycle creates microfractures. The temporary repair, which wasn't designed for that many cycles, began to fail. Nobody saw it coming, nobody was looking for it. On August 12, 1985, Japan Airlines Flight 123 departed Tokyo Haneda bound for Osaka. 420 crew and passengers, mostly Japanese businessmen, families, tourists. The flight was routine, clear skies. The 747 climbed to its cruising altitude of 24,000 feet. At 6:24 p.m., 12 minutes after reaching cruise altitude, the temporary repair gave way. The bulkhead failed catastrophically. Air pressure from the cabin rushed into the tail section. The tail fin, the vertical stabilizer, ripped clean off the aircraft. The pilots felt it immediately. Captain Masami Takahama, 31 years with Japan Airlines, looked at his instruments. All hydraulic systems, primary, secondary, tertiary, and emergency, were gone, not degraded. Gone. Every control surface went slack. The 747 became unflyable. Here's what they did instead. They used engine thrust. The 747 has 4 engines. By throttling each one independently, Takahama and his crew could make the aircraft bank pitch and descent. It was jury-rigging at 24,000 feet. It shouldn't have worked. For 32 minutes it did. They radioed Tokyo ATC. "We have a serious problem," Takahama said, his voice steady. The controller didn't understand at first. How could all hydraulics fail? It wasn't supposed to be possible. But the radar showed the truth. The aircraft was descending, oscillating, barely controllable. Takahama requested Haneda, but they couldn't reach it. The aircraft was drifting, oscillating more. The nose pitched up and down. Then he requested Itami Airport, closer to Osaka, smaller runway. But at this point, any runway was a gamble they had to take. For 32 minutes, Takahama and his flight engineer and first officer kept that dead airplane in the air using nothing but engine power. They couldn't turn. They couldn't level the wings. They were fighting physics with thrust. When they finally spotted Itami through the haze, they knew they were out of time. The aircraft came in too fast, too steep. Takahama tried to level it one last time. The nose pitched up. The right wing dropped. The 747 clipped a ridge on a mountainside near the airport. It broke apart. 420 people died 54 miles from Tokyo. 4 people survived, a flight attendant, 3 passengers. They were in the rear section of the fuselage, the part that broke cleanest from the main wreckage. Everyone else was gone. The investigation found it, that temporary repair from 1978. Boeing had used a single-deck patch instead of a double-deck repair. The documentation was vague. The maintenance crew in Osaka had done their job, but they'd done it with incomplete specifications. 7 years of pressurization cycles did the rest. Boeing issued new bulletins. Airlines rewrote maintenance protocols. Inspections became more rigorous, but none of that brought back the 520 people who died because one temporary fix was never properly replaced. This is the hardest part to sit with, the thing that keeps coming back. The repair was documented. It was known. The aircraft was airworthy by the standards of the time, but the temporary was never made permanent. And nobody, not the manufacturer, not the airline, not the inspectors, caught it before the metal fatigued and failed. Captain Takahama did everything right. His crew did everything right. They bought 32 minutes through sheer skill against an impossible failure. But you can't beat physics. You can only buy time, and sometimes time runs out. Subscribe to keep uncovering the technical failures and human decisions hidden inside aviation's worst moments.